Hi, my name's Kerri Hanlon, and I'm the co-founder of Yoga Home. I'm here tonight to just help you get set up for Yoga Nidra practice and just describe a little bit about what this practice is about and how it might benefit you. So Yoga Nidra is also known as the divine sleep. So if you're someone who struggles a bit with getting constructive rest, and people have all different issues with sleep, right? Maybe you're someone who falls asleep but can't stay asleep or have trouble falling asleep. Yoga Nidra is really designed to bring you into that state where your body can fully rest so that your rest is a little bit more constructive. There are 2 times a day that I really like to practice this. One is in the afternoon spot where I've sort of hit my wall, rather than going for another cup of coffee, which is something that I want to do. Uh, I'll maybe take a pause and do like a 20-minute Yoga Nidra practice. And I find that I really leave that then much more refreshed and ready to embrace my day. The other time that I like to practice is just before going to bed at night. And so this is a time that, again, we're sort of in that place just between wakefulness and asleep. And so Yoga Nidra can help you transition so that when you do fall asleep, that your sleep is much more restful. So I want to show you how to get set up for that and then tell you about a few resources that we have to support you with that and a few practices. So, we're practicing at home right now. Studio's closed due to COVID, and so we are really just all about practicing at home. If you were at the studio, I can show you sort of how I would normally get you set up with a mat. You'd have a blanket perhaps for your head. You'd have a bolster and then maybe another blanket. And the good thing is, since you're at home, you have all sorts of things that you can use. You probably have some blankets lying around. You can take 2 pillows and this extra blanket on top. So the other key element, comfy socks. You're definitely gonna want comfy socks. So Yoga Nidra is done in a resting position, typically Savasana, which is just on your back. And the legs go long, the arms just rest by the sides. Now the second blanket can just come across the torso. That can provide a little bit more grounding effect. The arms that are away from the body, they're not reaching all the way out to a T shape, they're just gently resting by the sides. Sometimes I like to have my palms face up to the sky, or sometimes I'll just bring my hands underneath the blanket and just set them on my belly. And that just helps me get a little bit more centered and grounded. The other thing you can do is take your blanket, open it up the whole way, and just snuggle in there, right? Just snuggle in hard. And again, the good thing is, since you're practicing at home, you can also practice this in bed, right? So sometimes I'll just tuck under the covers and let this be my place for Yoga Nidra. We practice Yoga Nidra in a dark room. And so if you have an eye sachet or a scarf or anything that you might be able to just rest over your eyes, that can be a really welcome way of just blocking out any light and allowing you to deepen into the practice. So that's about the setup. Let's talk a little bit about what to expect in a Yoga Nidra practice. So there are a few different parts of it. And as you go through, it's just like any other yoga practice. It's a practice. So if you're someone who's used to always being on the go, Yoga Nidra is going to ask you to slow down. So the first part is just getting yourself set up. So that's sort of what I showed you here. Just get yourself set up in a comfortable place. If you're not comfortable being on your back, don't be on your back. Come onto your belly, come onto your side. You can do it seated as long as you're just finding a restful position. And then the next part is when you set your resolve. And this could be called an intention. It could be called a sankalpa, that's the Sanskrit word for it. It could be your prayer, your offering, your dedication. But the thinking behind Yoga Nidra is that this resolve is already in your heart space. And so the practice is about bringing it forward to make your offering really manifest through this practice. So that's sort of when you hear a teacher talk about setting your resolve or your intention, your sankalpa, that's really what we're talking about. And then the next part is, I will say, this is usually when I start to fall asleep, but it's rotation of consciousness. So what we'll do is we'll take a guided journey through the body, and there are different ways for doing this in terms of how we rotate the consciousness through the body. But it's some sort of a body scan. You'll listen, you'll follow along, but there's no movement with it. So if we direct your attention to a part of the body, your mind just goes into that part of the body. After we do our body scan, then we think about our breath, and we bring greater awareness to our breath. And everything with Yoga Nidra, there's actually quite a bit of science behind it. So most of the breath techniques that we do with this, you'll find that it's dedicated, not dedicated, I apologize, but it's focused on the number 27. So we'll do cycles of breath to the count of 27. Sometimes it's 27, sometimes it's 54, sometimes it's 108. There are different breath techniques that we do in different Yoga Nidra practices. After we develop that awareness of breath, then we come into more feelings and sensations. So I would ask you, maybe we'll identify more hot and cold, heavy and light, but we look at the opposite ends of the spectrum and have the body start to feel these, even though your environment hasn't changed at all. After we do that, then we come into a visualization. And this visualization can take on lots of different forms. So sometimes I might ask you to come for a little journey with me. Maybe we'll go for a little walk through the jungle. Maybe we'll go to the ocean or a mountainside. Sometimes it's just visualization of sacred objects. And each of those has very specific purpose in terms of where it lands in the brain. So the visualization is a big piece of this. And then after the visualization, we come back to your resolve again. So we come back to that intention that you set at the beginning and sealing that in, because the next piece of it is that we prepare to exit the practice. Yoga Nidra can be practiced in a variety of lengths. So we have 20-minute practices, 30 minutes, 45, 60, so that you can choose how much time you have to really give yourself that constructive rest that you need. It is a really divine thing to take like 60 minutes, sometimes feels so decadent, and yet it can be so beneficial to really set yourself up. It's primarily one of the reasons we offer this practice on Sunday evenings. At Yoga Home, on our online studio, we offer it every Sunday evening at 8 o'clock so that you can sort of tap into closing your week out in a really peaceful way so that you're ready for the week ahead. So if you're interested in practicing Yoga Nidra with me, I have another video up on YouTube. It's going to be a 20-minute Yoga Nidra practice, a full practice. So you can check that one out, or check out all of our Yoga Nidra practices at our online studio at ouryogahome.com. All right, I hope to see you soon.